So now you can have more than one constructor as well. Let's say, I'm not going to compare with Java in this case. So I will show you this directly in the Scala. So the entire class itself will act as like a constructor that is called as primary constructor. Now what if I want to have one more constructor? Let's say I don't know, so what is the year made? I found some, I want to insert a record where I don't know the year of manufacturing. Okay, I just know only, I don't even know the ID of the vehicle. Okay, I just know the model. I found some car. I just found the model, brand and model. Okay, just V2. A new vehicle S, and brand is Ford. Paste. Okay. So now it is saying that with these two parameters you can't create an object because your constructor expects all the 5. Not enough arguments for constructor. Unspecified value parameters, brand, model, miles. If the first 2 it is treating for int. But now the same functionality you will achieve in Java by having more than one constructor. Now here, how can you achieve more than one constructor in Scala? So I'm directly going with Scala, I'm not comparing that. So you can simply have another method with name as this. Okay, so we can define one or more auxiliary constructor for a class to give consumers of the class different ways to create object instances. Just this example. So one way of creation of object by passing all the 5 parameters, and the other way, different way also, I want to give this option also for my users. So we can define the auxiliary constructors as methods in the class with the name this, and we can define multiple auxiliary constructors, but they must have different signatures. Meaning you can have any number of constructors, but each constructor should have a different number of parameters. If they have the same number of parameters, then obviously that will become the same constructor, duplicate of the same constructor. Also, one more mandatory rule, that each constructor must call one of the previously defined constructor. Okay, or in this example, if I have to show you this, how to solve this problem, I will define a constructor here. Def this. Okay, def this. What all fields I want to take? Just I'll take only those. Okay, brand, brand string. Okay, this is a function, right? You should not be using this. Now model, again string. Now inside this, it should call at least another one constructor. It should call at least another one constructor. Now what I will do is, if I don't know the ID, so if I want to give by default, so whatever the ID that, or I want to give default ID as 100. Okay, and year of manufacturing as 2016, if I don't know this. And if I want to, or you don't want, or you want this to be initialized, you can give them just year 0, 0, and brand, and model, comma miles driven, 0. This way. Or if you have any default values somewhere, you can declare your default values or your constants somewhere here, like where default ID is 1000 or 1000, and where default year is 2015. Then you can even pass them. Okay. This can be used only in a class, object, or template. Ideally, yeah, I mean, I'm trying to avoid that concept bringing right now, but the discussion of objects, companion objects. Okay. So ideally, if you want to maintain any constants, and if you want to access them just this dot way, so we write its companion object. Okay, let me bring that concept anyway, since we need that. Without that, it's not allowing me. Okay, so vehicle, yes, and here I will declare those two. Okay, and if I call this now, this dot, or not this, vehicle yes dot default ID. Yeah. So this way, and vehicle s dot default year. So you can have with the same name a class declared and object also declared. And if you declare that object immediately after your class with the same class name and having object, this is called as companion object. Okay, and generally this is used to declare any constants and anything that is common for all the objects. Okay, in other words, if I have to tell in Java's terminology for you, Raj, this is like a static block. Any static methods, any static fields which need to be available for all the objects, will put them in a companion object. This is a singleton object, and this will create this is already an object, vehicle S. You don't need to recreate this. New parameter is not available on this vehicle S. Whenever you say new vehicle S, this is object of this vehicle. Okay, so there is no way that you can create an object for this. For others and for non-Java guys, you just treat this like an already instantiated fields. Okay, if you want to put any constants or any methods that needs to be commonly available for all the objects, and you don't want this method to be different for each method. Like if it is not going to return a different functionality for a different object, if it is a common functionality for all the objects and the same value if you want to return, if it is a field, you can declare them here. If it is a method, you can declare them here. This is called as companion object. Also, because this is a companion for this class, and since this object created only once, we also call this as a singleton object. So one time instantiated. There is no way that you can call new operator on this and create this. Okay, so this is also called a singleton object. Now, so for my achieving that extra constructor with just two parameters, I defined this method def this and called my primary constructor passing these two and remaining fields as with default values. By default, ID vehicle ID should be 1000. By default, vehicle year should be 2050. This is same like you are trying to insert a record with two column values only into your SQL table, but the remaining columns, remaining three columns, so the fifth column is 0, and the first two columns you have at the time of table creation, you have set up a default value there. Default 100 or default this kind of stuff, right? So that way you are achieving this default values here. This is just by constructor with two arguments. This is called as auxiliary constructor. Auxiliary constructor.
Can I set the complete column as a default one?
Complete row?
Complete row, sorry.
Yeah, you can. Why not? Yes, that is another scenario. Yep, good, you made it. Okay, good that you made it. Like, so where I don't know anything, but still I want to create the object. This is like a zero arg constructor. We call this as a zero arg constructor. I don't know anything about this. What I want to achieve, this is auxiliary constructor with zero args, with two args. Now here brand and model also you don't know. You want to, do you want default values or spaces? If you want default values, let's say default brand is some Ford. Okay. Okay, and default model is this, or just a brand as brand and model as model. Now again you call this, that's it. Or if you don't want to call that, even that is fine. Just make this as an empty string, and whatever you want you can call them. So if you don't know the brand and model, you want to leave empty, you can leave this way. If you want your brand to be brand string, and you can call vehicle s dot default brand and default model here. These two are auxiliary constructors, and you declare these two auxiliary constructors.
One question, sure. The default ID and default year in zero or constructor, I can set it like 00 or 100, 2050, something like that, right?
Yep, you can.
Should I always?
Yep. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Yep, you can do this.
Okay.
Okay. So this is auxiliary constructors.
Shiva?
Yeah.
And no one can change the value of this object vehicle S, right? Once it's whatever your provided default, that's the final one, right?
In this?
Yeah.
This is a var. Again, static variable, static constants you have there, right?
Yeah.
Same. If you declare them as a var, then they are static constants.
So it can be changed through the other objects as well, right?
Yes, exactly.
And then after whatever you will change, that will reflect to the other one as well, because the static property is shared with others.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay, thanks, Siva.
Yep. Same. Anything that you declared inside your object, it's your static keyword. Assume this as a static. That's it. If it is a var, that is a static variable in Java. If it is a val, that is a static final in Java. Now, so this way you can achieve more than one constructor in the class. And still, you declare these auxiliary constructors also inside your class declaration. This is part of your primary constructor, but these two will not get executed because these are just definitions. You're not invoking them. Okay, and always your auxiliary constructor rules, the method name should be this, and if you and it should call at least one another constructor from inside this. Those are the two rules that it has. Okay. Similarly, same example we have here. Just so generally, if someone orders a pizza, I have two attributes for pizza. One is a crust size, and the second one is crust type. Okay. If someone tells that size and type, I'll use those sizes and types to deliver. If they don't tell the size or type, still they are expecting pizza from me. I can't set size as 0 and type as empty, which means I'm not delivering anything. Okay. So in that case, I want to deliver with the default size and default type. So I specified the object pizza, default crust size as 12, and default crust type as thin. And my class pizza has var crust size and var crust type. And inside this, so this is my primary constructor, which takes two parameters, and I'm giving auxiliary constructor, 3 auxiliary constructor. If someone tells me the size, just the size, and I prepare that size, but the type will be default type that I give. And if someone tells me only the type, then I prepare with the default size as 12, but a type as whatever he asks me. And if someone don't tell, if he is not telling whether what's the size and what's the crust type, if he's still expecting say pizza, I'll give him with the default values. And you call the objects this way. So someone is, while calling also I'm passing just the default only here, which it's not making realistically sense. But yeah, size as 16 and crust type as instead of thin, I'll make it as thick, or okay, or some default crust size as instead of 12 I pass 14 and crust type as regular, not thick, not thin, just regular. Okay. Now it makes sense. So this way, with the help of auxiliary constructors, you are allowing users to create objects in different ways by passing different number of parameters. So is it clear?
No, not clear. One question. So this P1 this will automatically execute like 16 and thick.
Yep.
And execute P2, right? It will call the class pizza, right? And then the definition will execute one by one.
Yes.
Is that correct?
It sees that crust size of int is matching with this.
Okay.
So it passes that 14 here, and this of 14 and pizza default crust type, it brings him from here thin, and then it creates that object.
So it will sequentially execute one by one, and finally it will default it into the.
No, it will not get executed. Def this will not get executed. Def this will not. These will not get executed. These
Okay,
are.
let me put it other way. Like it will check for each constructor, right?
Constructor whichever matches this signature.
Yeah. So the first two, if it doesn't match, it will go into default.
Default, the last one. Yep.
Okay.
That's.
All right.
Yep. Okay.